And then she said, compose your passion. Hi. Hi, I'm Britt, and this is Anissa,
Your mother.
my mother. So, hey, where are we coming to them from today, and where are we supposed to be?
Oh, for the love of all that's holy. So we are supposed to be in Minnesota. We're supposed to fly into Minnesota. The original plan was fly into Minnesota, drive to Iowa, drive back to Minnesota, do all this. There's a snowstorm across the entire Midwest, blizzard conditions. My flight was canceled.
Winds, lots of winds, which
Yeah,
you
and
should see my winds here. Like, I feel like my house is coming down.
yeah,
Can
like
you
I
genuinely
was,
feel that? I know you're not here, but I feel like you could feel that.
I was when I saw that by 9 o'clock, which was the time I was supposed to land in Minnesota, the wind gusts were recorded at 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. I'm like, that would have been fun to to land. Because here's the thing, before all of this issues with the plane situation, I have had two flights flying into Minneapolis that have done touchdowns and backups.
Yeah.
The first one circled for, I would say, another 20 minutes, and the pilot actually came on and said that there were wind shears and they're really super dangerous because they'll flip your
Mm-hmm.
plane. The second
I think
time
that's
we
what happened
touched
before, though,
down,
wasn't it?
yeah, we touched down and flew back up, and the pilot never came back on and explained anything that happened. So I think there was maybe some sort of con
Miscommunication.
communication issue that, thank God. So the thought of the crosswinds coming at me at 70 miles an hour and me not able to take my airplane pills, which, make it so I don't really care what the flight situation is not the best combination. Because if I take an airplane pill, I mean, I'm usually pretty much out of it and anything could happen. But a
So
responsible
far.
adult working cannot take an
Mhm.
airplane pill when then they have to go and train staff.
Very, very true. Or we should probably write that into our travel policy.
You can't take any.
You cannot.
My airplane pills are prescribed by a physician.
There you go.
So, but then I think it's when I mix them with the Dramamine that where things kind of go a little bit wonky.
Probably, because
Mm.
Dramamine now knocks me out. Like, I can't.
Well, I
Hmm.
mean, it's better than when I was doing Dramamine, an airplane pill, and some alcohol. Like I did, because then I really don't care what happens if I.
You did enjoy those Vegas flights.
Oh my God. But
Those were
I would
actually the
say,
worst. The coming out of Vegas
mhm,
were horrible. It smelled
it
so
was
bad on those
everyone.
flights.
I was in line one time getting on a plane, and there were two ladies behind me that looked like they had had a really good time in Vegas. So the best part about Vegas is, I guess if anyone goes there for like an actual vacation, which I've never done, you don't get your hotel for the last night and you just
Mm-mm,
stay up.
apparently.
And I ended up giving them peppermint oil because at this point she's like, I can't, I'm so nauseous. And I said, well, try peppermint oil. Maybe that will help because that's all. I didn't know what else. Oh God.
We tried that lifestyle once, but not the going out lifestyle. Do you remember when we tried to not pay for a hotel room at that conference? And we're like, we're flying. We have to be at the airport at 3 a.m. We'll be fine. We were not fine. I think we
In
ended
New
up doing
Orleans.
that, didn't we?
Well, the other problem was the New Orleans, which is weird. The New Orleans airport is not a 24-hour airport.
Oh, yeah.
So we couldn't even go to the airport because
And
that
just
was the original
go.
thing. We were going to go to, this is what we were going to be. We're going to go to the airport early at midnight, and we were going to stay up till midnight, and then we were just going to go to the airport. Well, the airport isn't 24 hours. But also, that would be the trip.
That I
Two
could
things
not
happened
be
on,
out of the hotel room.
no, two things happened on that trip. Three. One, I looked around and Britt is crouched on the ground.
That one was bad. Twice.
And
I was at the, were you with me at the airport when that happened? Because
I
it
don't remember,
happened
but
at
we were
the,
on Bourbon Street
but
in
Bourbon
a
Street was,
shop.
I couldn't. It was in the one place where I was gonna buy a voodoo doll and I couldn't even pay for anything. I was on the ground. I was
And then, so then she wouldn't leave the hotel room, and I didn't. It was St. Patrick's Day weekend, so it was really crazy. And I was like, well, I don't want to leave the room. But luckily, before she had crouched on the ground, I had bought in 2 dozen pralines. And then I ate those. And then I don't know the company that was giving away free sugar cookies, but I consisted on 2 days of praline and sugar cookies. That's what I ate.
yeah, that
And
was
then
bad.
what was it? Oh, and then our key stopped working and we got locked out of our hotel.
And there was a hole in the bathroom wall.
There was a questionable like peephole situation in the bathroom. That was
That was quite a trip for us.
Britt ate before Britt had to crouch, she ate 2 dozen oysters,
Oh
which
yeah, that
then
was
made
not
her
good.
realize that that was maybe
Mm-mm.
six, maybe 6 oysters is a good number, but 2 dozen definitely was not a good
No.
number of.
I will say that is better than the conference where I couldn't eat anything because I somehow, like, my tooth, something happened. I got a
That
canker
was in,
sore.
was that in, Kelly was with us. Where was
No,
that
it was in
at?
Oregon.
Oh, that was
And we
Portland.
drove and we had to go get fondue because
So the
melted.
best part, Portland is downtown Portland is dirty. It is gross. And we're walking back from from eating. And we had to eat early because all the restaurants closed in Portland because there was no police. So like it was unsafe.
Mhm.
And I had told Britt it had been raining for 2 straight days. And they have like the in the old part of Portland, they have the cobblestone streets. And I said to her earlier that day, I said, I can't walk at a very brisk pace because I have slippery shoes on. And she's like, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
No, we walk at a brisk pace in downtown Oregon, Portland, brisk pace at
So
all
we went
times.
and ate and we got our dessert to go because that's what we do. We always get our dessert to go and we eat our dessert watching TV. So I'm carrying the dessert. I cannot walk at a fast pace. Britt is assuming that we are going to be murdered at any time, which I don't know where she got
I
that.
wonder where I got that from.
She takes off. I hit a manhole cover
I
and
did
I
not
go
take
down.
off. I walked.
I hit a manhole cover and I went down.
You
And
did.
guess who wouldn't help me because she had her dessert.
I got the dessert from falling. But I also was trying not to pee
Oh,
my pants because if you've had a few kids, sometimes pee your pants a lot. And as we
I
know, I'm
peed my.
known for
Let
peeing my
me
pants.
tell you, the good thing was I
But
landed on the gross, wet pavement because I did pee my pants because I went down like a freaking box of rocks. But I feel like I popped up really fast. Did I pop up fast?
yeah, because you did because of the stuff that you fell in.
At least some of it was my own urine. Like I feel like at least I knew
Oh
where
my
some of the body
god.
fluid came from. That
Yeah,
was
it
so
was
bad.
bad.
I never wore those shoes again. They were really cute
That was
little
also the
tennies.
conference with the best food ever.
Oh yeah, it was really good.
And I couldn't eat any. Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I think I ate soup. I ended up getting gumbo, and then I got grits. And I am not a huge grits fan, but I literally couldn't eat anything.
That happened to me once. I had to fly. I worked for K-State and I had to get a tooth pulled and I had to be down in Austin at a conference and I
And then
got
come to
down
me
there.
somewhere, right?
Yeah, and then I
When
had to
you
go
were
to
coming to
you.
me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, it was when you first moved to Boise
Yeah.
because you had to go find me soup, but I had to ask the conference people if they had any soft foods because I couldn't eat anything. And let me tell you, when you get a tooth pulled and then you fly in a plane, the pressure from your
It was
tooth.
like an emergency tooth pull too, wasn't it? Like it
Oh
wasn't
my God.
scheduled.
It was I'll have to share the video with Shannon and she can put it on our page because I'm sitting and they must have gave me, I don't even know how many Valium I have, but I act like I'm going to call my boss and I am so high, so high.
Oh my
Your dad was dying. I was so high. It was the best. I didn't
god.
feel anything. Felt nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
So let's go back into what's happening now.
I know we got really off track, didn't
We
we?
did. I don't even know how that happened, but that's okay.
We
So
should have a travel blog. That's what we should do next.
I think we talked about that when we first started. Okay, but the best part is we have to show videos of when we first started traveling because like when my TikToks pop up of like when we first traveled, we were so excited. Like the stuff was like, "Whoo, we own our own company and we get to fly places." Like
I
so
know, and now
excited,
we're like,
and now we're like, "Frick." Which I'm actually sad that I haven't been up there since November, so I'm was a little
Mhm.
sad. However, you were up there last week.
Well, I was sad that we weren't going to Iowa because I really
Yeah.
did miss my grandchildren. But I FaceTimed with them this morning, and one of
And then
them
you missed
liked
them
me
less?
today. Yeah, it was fine. I just needed to see them. Penelope actually talked to me, so I'm good. So it
Oh,
was
okay.
fine.
You were good today. Okay.
Yeah.
So if y'all do not follow me on Instagram and Facebook, I am now a plant parent. That is what is happening. I know we've talked about, I think, my plants in our previous podcast,
Oh,
but let me tell you about Thor and Molly. So my Swiss cheese plant, which I am so excited for that.
Swiss cheese.
Yeah, that's what they call it because it has holes in the leaves.
Oh,
If you were a plant
good
mom,
job.
you would know. Anyway, she sprouted a new leaf, and they're the ones who get like super big and crazy leaves, and I'm so excited.
Can't. I can't. I
And
just.
then Thor is blooming or flowering, whatever it's called. I will get my um
Oh
technology
my God.
down. However, which is awesome because that's really good because it's hard to give a palm enough light that you're not burning the leaves, but not enough to make it bloom. So in my little chat thingy that I have, my app, they were like, "That's amazing. You're doing so good." So just so you know, rocking the plant mom life. It's just it's all happening.
I think, but it's not like I want to take credit for your things that you're doing well, but I'm trying to figure out who told you to get plants for that corner.
Let me say, okay, mental health shout out there. I know yours was maybe more of a decor shout out, but mental health shout out is that they're actually really good for your anxiety and depression because of like what they give off.
But it makes me more anxious. So I have two plants that I've had. I got them when we first moved here. So I've had them 4 years and I don't know what kind they are, but you can't kill them. Like you just literally can't. But the anxiety I felt because I worked at a greenhouse right after I got out of high school, and I'll never forget, like we had no money, and your dad bought me a braided fig tree. That's all I ever wanted was this braided fig tree. And
Mm-hmm.
it was probably $40, which would have been,
A lot.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you probably didn't get formula that week, but you're fine. Your brain developed okay. And it died. Like I couldn't stop its leaves from falling off. It was so I that was the last plant I'd had since I got these plants.
Oh,
And
that's
you're 30-ish. I can't remember how old you are, but 35. Are you 35?
no, I'm 36.
Oh yeah, because I'm 60. I forgot.
Mm-hmm. I'm 40. It happens.
We're just rounding up.
I do have to give you though. I haven't posted about this yet. I have to
Oh
give you my
God.
sourdough update.
Lord have mercy.
So Glinda has now duplicated into Glinda and Elphaba because for somehow I came down one day and he made them into two, which is not the process. But his my in-laws are here, and Beth and I were just talking about how we're going to secretly do our own sourdough and we're going to follow the rules point by point on how you're supposed to do a starter, but we're not going to tell him. And I feel like I'm just going to end up replacing his, and it will be like he did it forever.
So is he I don't how long does the starter have to go before
It's
you can
only
use it?
supposed to take a week and a half, a week to a week and a half. But
I don't
he did
know.
not follow
That's
my rules or my instructions, and he's doing it on his own. And now somehow we ended up with two, which is not how it's supposed to work.
I
So,
have no desire. Guess what I have no desire to do? First of all, dough in its entirety is sticky and it's
yeah.
messy and you have to get flour everywhere. Plus,
Mhm.
I still don't have a kitchen, so I would actually have to make my sourdough on the floor. There's nowhere to, I don't have cabinets, no
Yeah.
countertops, nothing. No
So,
oven. I don't know where I would cook it.
yep. I also
Well,
started
I'm
dating
proud of
really
you.
cute.
I'm proud of you for becoming the yuppie that you've always been meant to be.
Hmm.
Or is it, what are you? What are you? A
A freak.
millennial?
I'm a millennial. I
Yeah.
embraced
Well, I'm
it.
glad that
Yeah.
you're following what you should be doing. Congratulations. Way to fit
Uh,
into a puzzle piece or be a puzzle piece that fits into a puzzle. Wow.
I don't think so. Okay, before you give your update, I think that it's important to let our listeners know that for the last, how long have you lived in South Dakota?
4 years. April 5th will be 4 years.
The last 4 years, I thought that my mom has been spending a lot of time with a nice gentleman named Wally.
Wally is a girl, a
Wally is a
lady,
girl, but for four
lady.
years, or however long you've known Wally, I've thought Wally was a boy.
Well, I haven't known Wally, like, go to Wally's house, but it's been like the last 6 months. But Wally owns the Alpine Inn, which is
Yeah.
like a staple in
Is
the
that the
Black Hills.
German?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. You
But
should
Wally
go
has
there.
always,
If you're in Hills, is it Hill City?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Go there.
But Wally has always been a female.
Yep. Yeah.
Hmm.
So till lately, I thought that it was okay that my dad was being very generous to let my mom spend so much time with a nice
Well,
gentleman friend.
I told you she made me rouladen.
I
I'm
didn't.
sure
I
I've
don't
used
know
a
why. I
pronoun.
thought that was Wally's wife you were talking about.
Oh,
I
no.
don't
Uh-uh.
know why I thought
Mm-mm.
that, but
Mm-mm. No, it was
yeah.
just Wally. But
Hmm.
I mean, I think at this point your dad wouldn't care who I spent time with, honestly. Well, that's funny you mentioned that. So your dad and I haven't been seen in public together for probably 3 weeks. And the town we live in is 800 people.
Yeah, you moved to
Very
some
small.
weird, like, yeah, I don't know.
Very small. So the last three like town events, it's been me and Tim, which is our best friends. Like your dad's best friend and then my best friend. But it's
This sounds
Stevie
like
and
a
your dad.
Lifetime movie. I'm just saying.
Stevie and your dad have not been there. Like we went out to eat, we went to Live on Stage. We were sitting at Live on Stage, and the people across from us, the guy who introduced me said that we lived in Iowa, that we were originally from Iowa. And so the lady like says to Tim, "Oh, you and your wife are from Iowa." And he's like, "She is not my wife." I'm like, you didn't have to deny it so
It's
quickly.
hard. I know.
Yeah.
Dang.
But yeah, so I mean, but your dad doesn't seem to, it doesn't bother him, I guess. When you've been together for 85 years, it just doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
36, 37.
What? Yeah. Yeah. Kind of 37.
Ish. Ish.
37-ish.
Ish.
Sure. We'll
Oh
go
my
with
god.
that.
Okay. Are we good? Are you got nothing else happening? I feel like you should have more happening in your life. You should have.
Um, I mean,
You got
there
your art
is
council
nothing.
headshots, didn't you?
What?
Your art council headshots.
No.
I thought you had to
What?
get pictures for the art council.
No.
What did you have to
I had
dress
to go
up
to
for the other day?
to go in public.
Oh.
I mean, to be seen? No, nothing is happening. Your dad has lost his mind, but that is, I mean, I feel like that's every week is just what has he done now? So the last episode that we got into a fight with about, and we weren't speaking, was because, which then he explained to me why he was mad at me. So I got French doors for my office because I'm working on getting them soundproof so I can sit up there instead of in my bedroom. And they're huge French doors with 8 panes. And I said, please don't carry them up the 2 flights of steps so that you don't break them. Nope. I came home and they're moved. He took them all apart and carried them up. And he explained to me that the reason he was mad, because I'm like, I don't understand why you're mad that I told you not to carry up doors that you can't carry up. It's because I'm always telling him he can't do things. He's Would you like to comment on that?
Nope. No comment whatsoever there.
Okay, but here's the deal. He can't because then he spends that whole day dinking around doing whatever, and then all night, I don't know if you've he is up down and shaking his arms and doing all sorts of weird things because he has carpal tunnel so bad that he has to get surgery. And I'm like, that's why, because I need sleep. I need sleep. But he hasn't done anything. He's been working a lot, so he hasn't done anything really stupid this week. It's been pretty calm here at the
Do
old.
you want to work through why when I ask what's happening with you, you immediately deflect to my father? Or are we not at
Because,
that discussion of
no, I
telling me
don't
about
think we are.
yourself?
I don't think
Do you want
there's
to work through
anything
that?
happening.
Okay. I'm
I
gonna
don't
put
think there,
that
but there,
on. I'm just curious of what you need to work through there.
well, nothing, because you want to know what I do? I get up, I get the top half of myself dressed, and then I go to my office and I work, and then I come down. I'm watching The Righteous Gemstones, though. If y'all have ever watched anything completely inappropriate but hysterically funny, Righteous Gemstones on, I think it's on HBO or Cinemax or something. It is so bad. I can't even. I'll have to send you clips. I feel like your husband would appreciate it.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't do it. There's nothing. I do nothing. I work.
Okay.
What did you think I did
I
this
just
week?
I just was curious why you can't talk about what you're doing. No. Okay. Okay, speaking of
What
my
are you
father,
doing? What are you doing?
I
What'd you
just
do
told
this
you
week?
I'm keeping my plant
Plant
life
mom.
alive. I'm
Uh-huh.
doing watching sourdough. I have a middle part now. I am
It's a busy week. It's a busy
in a
week.
busy week.
I parted my hair different. I started a
I
sourdough.
wear patches under my eyes now in the mornings. Don't tell
Oh
me that it's
God.
not making a difference because that might make me cry. Anyway.
Well, I mean, I probably should have. I think that ship sailed as far as patches under my eyes, let me tell
Oh my
you.
God. Okay.
I go
So
out every day and hug my horse and smell his neck. Does that help?
maybe.
I mean,
Mm,
that's
I
that's
don't know.
it.
Okay.
That's it.
F and Jepsons. Let's talk about the F and Jepsons. Speaking of my father. So for this segment of our podcast, we are going to discuss my parents working together to move a feather while I am on the phone. So I know we have probably mentioned this also. If you have met my mom, she looks like she could help you move a lot of like her arm strength. Like she, I know, I'm sorry.
Trying to
It looks
figure
like she
out.
could move a
Oh
lot of
my God,
stuff.
I told you just told you that I felt my neck was fat, which was making me lisp. And now you're telling me I look like I could move something? Like I have girth?
No, like you look like you'd be strong. Like if I met you on the like, I don't. Okay, whatever.
Okay,
You
whatever.
tell
Okay,
me
I look
I
like
don't look like I could move things, and I can move
no,
things
you're
anyway.
little. Like
She
but you're tiny.
stringy, stringy.
You're tiny.
Anyway, her strength is not there, and the best part though is it's there in the beginning, and then halfway through, all of a sudden, it's
Just
gone.
drop it.
She
Just
just
stop.
drops it, no warning. All of a sudden, she
Mm-mm.
can't. So I'm on the phone with her, and apparently my dad's hands were feeling better, and so he wanted to do a bunch of stuff. Right? Is that what was happening?
Well, the reason he couldn't do it himself was because his phalanges were not
Mm-hmm.
phalangine the right way. And so that's why he had asked for my help, which is not his go-to, is to ask me. Like, I know it's desperate if he's asking me. So he
Mm-hmm.
asked me, well, no, he got me the grill so I have another way to cook him supper because
Mm-hmm.
the the air fryer and the crock
Was
pot
not
are
cutting
not,
it.
no. So we're trying to put the grill together is what happened.
Okay.
First of all, the other problem is why did you just stay on the phone with me? Like that's a little codependent, probably.
Because I was really afraid that you two would kill each other, not necessarily that somebody would lose a finger or anything. I was on for the well-being of you both in that instance.
He's
And
such
the
an
best part is I could hear in
oh,
his voice when he
he's
was
such
getting
an ass,
irritated.
isn't he? He's such an ass. And everyone's always like, this is the part that irritates me about him. Everyone's always like, oh, Shane's so nice. Oh, look at, oh my God, does he clean your whole house? Oh, he does your laundry for you. Oh, he does. Why though? Why? Because
If you were a behavior analyst, you should be able to answer that question.
Do we want to get through the time where he screamed at me because I put the thing with all the hair in the washer and that I'd
Oh my
ruined
God, that was fun.
ruined everything?
The best part though is I get his attitude. Apparently, I responded negatively during, and Beth said that they were all hiding from me because I may have overreacted a little bit in my tone of voice.
Yeah,
Anyway,
your
the
tone
other part,
yesterday
so I
was
could tell on his tone of voice on the phone when he was getting frustrated, but I could also tell when you were about to let go. So I felt like I needed to be on to give dad a warning, like she's gonna let go. Her voice is telling you she's gonna let go. It's gonna happen.
well, don't make me sit there and hold stuff. And then he ended up being irritated with me because I wasn't holding it exactly right. He doesn't tell me what he actually needs me to do. He's just like, I should know. And that's the other time we get in a fight is I don't know what he needs me to do. And then you are just like him.
I am.
Exactly like him.
I
I
get
mean,
frustrated. I'm
yeah, but
working
you've
on it
never
though. The next day, I
oh,
explained to Dustin why I was irritated. Word
did
for
ya?
okay, I'm working through a lot in life. Let me just say.
Well, the middle part tells
First
us
off,
that.
do you know how hard it is to be medicated pretty much from the time you're 17 with anxiety meds, and then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, healthily,
Healthily.
healthily, not be on any medication, which I'm doing great, love it. But I cry all the freaking time.
Well, you used to cry all the time anyway. That's so I think
God.
that's why it doesn't bother. Like to me, I'm like, oh, well, this is how you used to be,
Yeah,
I guess
so I
50
am
years ago.
yeah, so I cry and I'm working on explaining exactly why I'm crying and I can't remember. Oh my gosh, it was he told me I couldn't do something the right way. That's what
Oh,
it was.
Jesus. You and your father.
And so I stomped my butt upstairs. I think it was the start of the sourdough when he was telling me how to do it versus
Right,
telling
because
me not
you
to do something.
married your mother. You married your
Yes.
mother.
So I stomped upstairs and started folding laundry. And he came upstairs and he was telling me, like, I love you, blah. And I'm like, okay, I understand that I'm being irrational right now, but I need you to listen to exactly why the words you've said upset me.
The problem
And
is,
I probably talk slowly and with my fingers. If you're not watching the video, I tend to put my fingers together and oh, but yes. So I'm working on explaining exactly why I'm crying.
I mean, at least he recognized poor Dustin when you guys first got together. That man had no idea what had hit him. When I would be there, I'd be like, you gotta get up and go follow her. Like, she just stormed off. He's like, oh, like he did not. He
But the
was
best part
like,
though is this past 15 years. We've been together 15 years and we met when I was 21. So he's
you'd think
been
he'd figure it out, but
he
he
does a
hasn't.
lot better. Yes.
He does. But you and your father,
Yeah, we are the exact same. Hmm.
or hold on to something you're pissed about for 6 months, and then
That's why
all of a
I'm
sudden,
trying to not do it. That's why I was
oh,
trying. I could have. So I always say, okay, the old me would have held this and not told you why I feel this way. The new me is trying really hard to just tell you that I'm irritated. This is why I'm irritated. Or I was going to be passive aggressive the other day. What did he do? He didn't say goodbye before he left for work or something like that, which apparently he did, but I missed it. Anyway, I was like, you know what? I was going to hold this against you all day, but I'm just going to text you and let you know you hurt my feelings. And now I'm not going to hold it against you all day.
oh my God, Hugh. That's where Huey gets it.
Oh, I know. It's bad.
Huey can,
You
oh my
was
gosh.
at the seatbelt last night.
Oh my,
The
so
seatbelt hated him.
Cash, I was FaceTiming Cash, and Cash was so excited because he got Cardinal of the Month or
Yes.
something.
Like
And
student
it
of
was
the month
like
in school.
student of the month. So it was like the classic picture. So there's a picture of this kid beaming, and then there's this kid in the background standing off to the side, like plotting his death. And that was Hugh. I'm like, I told Britt, I said, tonight's not going to go well. Hugh is not happy.
Well,
He
it's
is,
not. this whole week because Friday is the popcorn party that Cash
Oh
gets to go to.
no. So, oh,
And
so
his
Friday.
family's invited, so now I get to go to it because I'm
Oh,
here. Yeah. So that
oh
is
yeah. He was going to be standing over the top of Cash in his sleep.
it's yeah, it's been a rough week for little Huey.
Well, if
Well,
Hugh would not choose violence every day, he might be student of the month.
so I'm struggling because Hugh has, since the beginning of the year, has been going to this military kids like support group they do at school with the counselor.
Yeah.
And he loves it. Like, and he just today was telling me the counselor told us there are 4 things that she can't keep a secret. It's if I'm going to harm somebody else, if I'm going to harm myself, like the
Yeah.
things
Right.
counselors go through or whatever. And Cash is like, I don't go to that group. I want to go to the military support group. And I'm kind of torn on this. Cash hasn't gone all year.
I think it should be
I
Huey's thing.
I think so
Yeah.
too. Okay.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I get it. And if Cash does really want to talk to somebody, we can take him to the
Find someone else
counselor.
because he obviously, Huey,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I
Huey
don't
just
know.
like thrives in that group. He loves it. And then he
Oh.
also told us, I can't go to the group and then change my mind and come back and then change my mind and go to the group again. So I feel like he's probably done that once or twice. Tried it anyway.
It's like when we used to work, so we used to work in the CDC,
Mm-hmm.
and we had all this struggle with because their philosophy is they get free choice, and so
Mm-hmm.
no one would ever stick to things. And I'm like, well, we were talking about assent today. I do
Mm-hmm.
believe that there is like assent is so important, and I think that's kind of free choice, free will, whatever. But also, you have to be able to guide them or make it worthwhile so that they choose. And so, whatever that counselor or whatever is happening at that group, they're obviously doing a great job because he then
Mm-hmm.
made the decision to stay there. And that's what I could never like get and it was the teachers or whatever they called them at the CDC it was in Fort Riley, Kansas. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, is that you have to make it so that the kids want to stay there. It's not about, oh, if you come to learn about birdhouses, you have to stay until the birdhouse is finished. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what it's about. It's about making the process of the birdhouse so much fun that they want to stay.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with assent. You'll have assent in ABA and with your clinics if you are making it worthwhile, if you know what is reinforcing to them. And
Yeah, I feel like
it,
let's jump into that. Let's jump into so trust the protocol. We're talking about Ascent today, for
mhm.
our ABA. So you're that SME right now on Ascent for us because you're doing the most research and obviously the presentation. So Ascent versus consent. Can you tell that? Can you explain that?
So consent is a legal term, first of all. And so a lot of times consent from a parent is I can have treatment,
Mm-hmm.
or as a child, I could have treatment, I could have these things. And what a parent consents to is not the same as to what a child assents to. So when you look at assent, it is that I am choosing to do something. So it can be as little as I'm choosing to stay sat in the seat, or I'm choosing to participate in an activity, where consent is that parent saying I'm consenting to um,
Yeah. So
treatment.
the example would be I had to consent for Huey
Mhm.
to attend the group, but
Right.
him getting to make the choice to go or not go is a sent.
Right. And what we run into with families a lot of time is what a parent consents to as far as what they want their child to what they want their child to achieve in therapy, in ABA therapy, is different than what a child wants to do. Or and so I think the fine line that we ride on Ascent is there are going to be certain things that you to be a functional, and I don't like necessarily using functional, but to be a functional citizen and citizen of
You
your
used a
communities.
present to be a
Yeah.
present citizen or present.
Yeah, like to be a part
Yeah.
of your family, to
Mm-hmm.
be a part of your community, to be a part of your school. Like there's certain things. that you as an individual have to learn, and maybe not even learn how to do, but understand why it's done. And so I think with assent, it becomes, toilet training is one I always like to talk about, because to be a to be a go to school, let's say, to go to a typical public school, you would have to be toilet trained. And most kids will not assent to toilet training until they are, some of them might never, but
Mhm.
like that's one of those things. But we have to teach someone to be toilet trained,
To have
or some
access to that
access to a
reinforcement.
toilet, whatever. And that's one of those things. So I do think assent can be a slippery slope. But I think that we just talked today about it's that access to reinforcers, and knowing what reinforces a child is what's going to help you
To gain
obtain
assent.
assent. Mm-hmm.
So I thought
Mm-hmm.
it was interesting because I listened to something that talked about obviously reinforcing the escape, because that's
Right.
really what we're doing when they withdraw assent.
Mm-hmm.
However, we don't necessarily have to honor the other functions of behavior. So,
Right.
like access. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you can withdraw your assent to this activity, but that doesn't, well, the leapfrog was the example. So, if our client doesn't want to count using the turtles or whatever,
Right.
and he withdraws his assent, that's fine. He cannot learn to count using the turtles, but that doesn't mean I'm going to give you your leapfrog, which is
To do
your
whatever.
preferred
Mm-hmm.
like object to do whatever
Mm-hmm.
you want to do. Yes, you can go access other activities, but that's also creating different contingencies. So,
Right. Like you can say, no, I don't want to do this, but that doesn't mean
mhm,
I have to give you. And I think that's where it gets tricky,
mhm,
because I think that a lot of times our BTs think assent means I'm just letting them do whatever they want.
yeah,
And that is
necessarily.
not what assent
Yeah.
means. It
The other
and
question in group, and I'm
oh
interested to
yeah.
hear your feedback on it, was our one said that she has her issue is working with her teenager on it stuff, and she's like, I know why she doesn't want to do things. She just wants to sit and play on her phone. So how do I handle that? That would have been what she was her
But how do you
question.
know that's really what, like, that's just because someone's playing on their phone doesn't mean that that's their preferred
Mm-hmm.
thing to do, because you think about that too. And I'm wondering like what her reinforcement is. A lot of times we hear that, like, well, their only reinforcement is social media or a phone
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. But it also could be that they've been conditioned to not know exactly what other reinforcements are available.
Yeah.
And
Like
a
that.
phone is an easy reinforcement that I can gain by myself. I don't need to have someone else participate in my reinforcement with a phone. I don't. I just need internet or whatever. And so I think that just saying that that's all that they wanted, I think that's a lazy way out. And not that that's what that individual was doing, but also, has that child had the knowledge to know what the other reinforcement could be?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they have a home life where it's just I walk in the door, I'm handed a phone. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they don't know that there's like a board game, or we could play a game
Yeah.
together. You can use your phone, but let me get on my phone and we used to play checkers, or Scrabble, or word searches with one of our clients, and
We
it
love
was the phone.
Scrabble, just so
I know.
everybody. Scrabble's our
Well, we
favorite.
quit we quit playing Scrabble when your dad would always win, and that irritated me because he'd make three-letter words and screw up my Scrabble board. But I'm just saying, like, I think it's a cop out to say that's the only thing they want for reinforcement, because my thought would be they don't really know what other reinforcements are available to them.
Yeah. And I know that you've talked about a lot about people saying to use checklists to see if assent is obtained or stuff. But the one we watched, it was more circular, and I think it fits kind of your thought on it too. So it was um, honoring the escape. So, no,
Hmm.
sorry, it was providing the FCT, which drives me insane, just telling them how to man and rejection. Anyway, so I know you should have seen some of the older group
I'm sure they were like,
participants,
"Oh
and they
my God, we're not
were
allowed to say FCT."
not work. So we're giving the language to
Hmm.
self-advocate to say no, or the
Right.
behavior to say no, reinforcing that escape, and then looking at the environment and contingency variables to then
Right.
gain assent again. And it's more circular. And I think
Yeah,
that's
you
what
don't just,
you've been talking about versus the
yeah,
checklist.
I don't want to do this, so I don't have to do it. No, guess what? And that's the hard thing. I talk I talk to BTs about this all the time. Their job is so hard because it's
Mm-hmm.
like we talked about. It's always thinking through what you're going to do next. And gaining assent is that continual engagement with that client. And so, which is completely different than I think how I raised you all. But you get assent, you get to you get to choose things, you get to whatever.
Well,
But
okay. I think though so I was looking at one of the new textbooks on ABA, and one of the they changed the name pretty much of a BT or an RBT or a teacher, an aide or
yeah,
whatever. And I like this. This is weird because I liked it and I feel like we should use it more. A
I
contingency manager. Because
yeah, I
really,
like
as a
it.
BT, as a
Yeah.
teacher, as you're managing contingencies,
Oh,
I
for
feel like that's like an
continuously,
item we need to be like, Taylor, we're calling everyone a contingency manager
because
now.
that's all you're doing. You're trying to figure
Mm-hmm.
out, like,
Yeah.
you're trying, and I think maybe you could spin it to be more positive because sometimes, I mean, contingencies are positive too, but like, I
I'm going to
feel
tell
like,
y'all, I didn't know what it meant, a contingency actually meant
right,
until even after I tested truly. Like
because
that
everyone
word
thinks
is
it's
just
the
in all the
negative.
time.
They
But
think it's the
weirdly, yeah.
negative. Yeah, they think it's a negative
Hmm. You're
to
contingent
what
on something.
contingent you're contingent on, like you have to do this to
Mhm.
get this and all this. But yeah, no, I was thinking about that too because it really is it it really is trying to figure out the puzzle of, and
Mhm.
like I said, it should ABA should not be easy. We're dealing with humans,
Yeah.
not robots. Like,
No, I agree. Well, and that's too the other thing I said at group the other night was you're part of that environment and those
hmm
contingencies you're trying to manage. And I think as humans, this is great, but we do a really bad job of looking at us. What can I change
hmm
in my behavior
right.
to help them in their behavior? So what can I change to help that kiddo count?
No, you should be changing the environment around, which
And you
you
are
might be
part of
part
the
of the
environment.
environment. So
Yes,
you have to look at yourself. It's just like when
yourself too.
we talked about reinforcement, how I can say vocally, you're doing such a great job, but I'm like this, you're doing such a great job. Like my
Yeah.
face, my arms, whatever. And so, yeah, I think it's ABA is hard.
ABA
It
makes me
makes you
sweat.
sweat. That's all I
Oh
was
my
thinking about.
god.
Oh,
Okay. So
okay.
we're a little but okay, so that was good. We can go on and on about Ascent, but if you would like to hear Dr. Jepsen talk more about the Ascent, go to CASP in May. She is on a panel. Um
I am, and I'm
she
the
is.
outlier. I'm the outlier.
Okay.
You'll be able to know which one's me.
Let's talk about my favorite animal. My
Oh
new
God,
favorite animal
who
is
is
my
it?
sister.
Oh Jesus. Mary and
Whitney.
Joseph, praise whatever. Good
My
Lord.
new favorite animal is my sister. When I give
Oh,
her the actual dollar amount that things, time, stimuli, items, anything
cost.
costs, and how much when she gets reimbursed for something of that actually goes towards things like cost breakdown. Let me tell you, that girl is going to be like, that cost me 0.333333 cents. You're gonna need to figure out, tell me where that went,
We're
what happened.
we were talking to teachers, previous teachers, and they're like, yeah, it'll be like when at the beginning of the year we got a box of pencils, a for a box of paper. I'll be like, that will be Taylor. She'll be like, you
Mm-hmm.
get one pencil,
Yep.
and if you break the pencil, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Or you all have
She
to use mechanical pencils because that lead
that
costs
lettuce,
less, that graphite costs less per graphite thing
right?
than a full pencil.
because if I got the pencil, I'd have to get the pencil sharpener. And then I would have to do like, and
So
she's so
funny.
funny because she thinks too in such small numbers that even
Mm-hmm.
having conversations about the thousands and thousands of dollars that it takes to run a center makes her panic. And so
Mm-hmm.
she starts watching every second of
Mm-hmm.
everything. And it is,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my
She's
God.
very like, oh, you clocked out a second late.
Hmm.
We have to talk
Sorry.
about that.
You're gonna be on a performance improvement plan
Mm-hmm.
because you
Yep.
clocked out 1 minute after. Oh, and you're supposed to be doing this. Can I see a permanent product? I'm gonna
Yeah.
need to see
That center is gonna be ran so like the operate.
clean,
Yeah,
clean
it's gonna be
and
clean
efficient.
and
And
efficient.
efficient.
Yep.
And well, and she just has to, I think both of you girls, women, whatever you want to call yourselves today, you are parent, whatever, have, and I feel like it took me probably, I don't know, I'm sure Shannon or Melissa who have worked with me previously could tell you, but I do think, I do think that there's this, like having that ownership in your 30s is hard, like your early 30s, because you're still trying to kind of figure out the way to be, I think in our field, like taken seriously, making sure that your voice is heard, all these things. And sometimes
I mean, if you know,
Taylor
is
less
she?
than you.
So she will be. We just talked about this. She's 32, so she'll be 33 this summer.
Are you
I was.
counting math?
I am doing math, and my math is not mathing. But what is 36 minus 5? 31, right?
Yeah.
I
That
was
wasn't even hard. You didn't even have to do a takeaway.
I was 31 when we started K now.
Yeah.
The
And
amount
I
of
do think
growth it has taken me, like in realization too, because I was trying to learn to not even figure myself out. I would had my kid, like how to be a mom, how to be me, how to figure my mental health out. Like in your early 30s, you're just a completely like different person, I think. I
oh
think you
yeah,
are
and
all the time, but
I think that it's so funny because you've kind of stepped back in to like the day-to-day operations of K
yes,
now,
I
and
had to step out. Yes, I'm back.
we have new employees that have never dealt with
They literally
early,
started when I took time off.
yeah, so early 30s Brit, which I mean, you know how you see those memes about family members that there's always that one family member? Like that's Brit. Like she feels everything
I do.
deeply.
I'm also very like, I have to be successful because if I'm successful too, that means that my sister is successful. That means my brother is successful. That means that my parents are successful. That means my kids are successful.
This
My
will be a whole
husband is
therapy.
successful.
Yeah, this is
Like, if I
so
fail, everyone fails.
um
Like,
so
that's my weird, like,
let's talk about, is it, what did we talk about, composing your passion? That was
yep, that's our, and then she said, so talking about early 30s, Brit, there was no composed passion.
mm-mm,
I was
mm-mm.
just straight like off the hook. If you
A lot.
say like
There's a
I didn't,
lot.
and I had a lot of
I'll my
feelings too about
my
things.
favorite is my sweet daughter Britt, the night before her wedding, flip-flopped her way around the resort that we had rented for all of the wedding guests and
Wow,
told people off randomly
how I felt about them.
how she felt. She
It was very
decided
well.
that the night before her wedding would be the perfect time to just tell people how she really felt. And
Knock on doors.
just flip-flopped around. So that
I
I
believe
would
that
say
night
from
you went home.
I did, I left.
You did.
Only one of my kids has made me leave a hotel twice, and it is one of the one sitting here has been involved in both of those
Okay.
instances.
So I
But
will like to say there was probably some drinking involved in that flip flopping occurrence. So,
there was. But you have composed, like you would never, like even when you weren't drinking, you like
oh, I was very
your
outspoken.
delivery has always been just a little harsh, just a little bit.
Yes.
And your like the behind it is always very positive. I know why you're saying something because you care so deeply, but you're tiny, and tiny people tend to come off very
Okay,
scary
so the reason
sometimes.
that I'm having, okay, let's go to why. Okay, so I teach somewhere, and I have taught there for 5 years now
Yeah,
since we started
I
K
think
now,
you
right?
started right after
Um,
your PhD. Yeah.
yeah, and it has gone through some changes. Well, when I first started, there was somebody who mistakenly told me that I would never get hired there full time.
Oh, Lord.
And they did have some leadership that I don't think they were a fan of me, and I was not a
Right.
fan of them, which is fine. I am a
Yeah.
very, like, not everyone's cup of tea. It's okay.
You're a niche. You're a
I'm
niche
in.
audience. A
Anyway,
niche.
new leadership has come in, and new leadership who I have admired from afar, as has my mother, maybe a little more
Well,
stronger
it has, I
than
have
her.
always, mine has been
She
from afar
has.
too, because I could never, there's no way I would ever be able to speak to this person, but
Yes. And
whatever.
the only time I had previously spoken to this person, a student had complained about me. And so I had to be called in, which, if you're a professor, it does tend to
Happens
happen.
all the time. Oh my
So I
God.
would
No one
avoid
tells you
her
that.
at every conference instead of being like, hey, this is who I am. And the
And
whole
I
time, my
wanted her,
mom would be like, can you introduce me? Can you tell her who, introduce me, introduce me? And I'm like, no, I'm not going anywhere near her. Mm-mm. I'm so, yeah. Anyway, so I was able to get a meeting with her and talk to her because I want to work full time. And in not so many words, we're going to talk about composing my passion.
so,
And yes, go. Just,
so that goes right into the book fuck list, because the part I have that I have underlined, and this goes back into composing your passion, because I do feel like this is the thing. It's like you're responsible for how you react to every thought,
mhm.
feeling, and action in your life. And it's up to you to know that it's not anyone else's job to give you what you want. So, that whole thing about composing your passion is you can be passionate about something, but you also have to take responsibility for that passion, if it's negative or positive,
I
which I think you
agree.
have done recently.
I do. I feel like I'm doing better. I do feel like I'm
Hmm.
having to explain myself, and I'm having to remember like things that are triggering for me
Yeah.
is I that is the perception I gave off. And I think like
Hmm.
this whole journey to like through the quitting not drinking to not taking medication to like I am having to learn like that was me. I did do that. I do have to account for my actions when I was
Right.
maybe not the best off.
Right.
But so in the book with Compose Your Passion, the part I really liked was throughout the process of writing this book, I often imagine myself fiercely strutting around in an epic hair flip, pointy finger, hand on hip tirade saying, and
Oh
as for
God.
you, that reminds me of me flip flopping
Flip
through
flopping all
the
over.
wedding.
And the part about
Mhm.
when you're in the situation where you're watching, so I think as a parent, you watch the growth of your child, maybe not like at like a front row seat, right? You're usually at the time they've become adults, you've
Mhm.
separated yourself. So we're going to talk about boundaries again. You've separated yourself. So you're not at the front row watching them grow as
Mhm.
in their career or in their family life. That is not the luxury I have been afforded. I am in the front row. I am, so it's so hard, and I think we do a really good job. Well, I feel like I don't know. I feel like even when we started K Now, I was really, it was really easy for me to separate when I'm your mom and when I'm
Mhm.
not your
I don't
mom.
think you've ever overstepped. Like I can tell when
Mm-mm.
I'm getting to worked up to the point where you want to be like you're
Mm.
being disrespectful, but you
But
do
I
a good
don't.
job of not like I don't think you've ever made me feel in those situations like I was your daughter. Like
I did
that
pinch you under the table
you
though.
do. But I also
You've composed, so you have, though, I've watched your growth, but now what you're dealing with is people that have either known you before or not known you,
Hmm.
and I don't think you're, I think you're to a point in your career where you don't have to explain yourself as much as you maybe felt like in the beginning, which
And
I
I,
think is why
yeah,
you're able to hopefully work on composing that compassion because, or
yeah.
that passion, because you have it. And I know you still get worked up when you feel like that you're not heard, but I can tell that you're way better at it than you were in the beginning.
Well, and she
Like
also
never, not
says,
everything's a fight. Not everything is a
no.
fight.
Well, she also says too, like the point is to help you take a look at your past and understand how you became who
Yeah.
you became. But there's also the Jelly Roll song that's like I can't remember what the words are exactly. This is why we need Dirt to fact check us really
Oh
quick.
God,
But
yes,
um
dirt.
it's like I don't my past is who made me who I am today. Like
Right, right.
you have to accept that you lived that past and
Yeah.
it might not have been like your most glorious way of living ever or appropriate choices all the time, but it did make you who you were today.
That's so weird because Wally, who is a female, and she's 85, and we were just talking about this last night because she came to the United States when she was 21, maybe, I think 20. She had a 6-month-old baby. And everything. And she's like, I can't imagine like all the things that had happened in my life. I look back now and I'm like, well, if that didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened,
Mm-hmm.
then this wouldn't have happened. And I think that you can even take a look at the really bad things that have happened or the things that you were super sad about and still find out the reasoning of, oh, if I hadn't went through that, would I have been able to handle this? Or would I have been able to celebrate this thing if I hadn't known the bad stuff? Like, I feel like people that maybe don't go through or are unable to like have that perspective are not as appreciative. Like, I feel like you are very appreciative of what you have accomplished or what you've done, and I feel like there's a lot of people that are not as appreciative. So I do feel like I would not want you to lose your passion. I do feel sometimes I'm like, oh crap, or I
There
know
may
what's going
have
to
been
trigger your
there may
passion,
have
and
been
I'm
a
like,
comment
hmm.
made in the media about figuring this autism thing out by somebody. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that right now. Um, of why it's increased so much. And I wanted to be like, get me on the phone. I can tell you why. It's a
Yeah,
mixture of insurance companies forcing us that if we want to provide help, then we
yep.
have to have an autism
We
diagnosis.
better have a diagnosis, and
Yeah.
we it's it
So
it
when
is
you were
so many
away,
factors.
yeah.
Because
But
look at who, like, there were so many times in my life. I don't think when I grew up, I don't even think we had insurance. I can almost, not that my childhood was not
compared
perfect, but I'm pretty sure we didn't have insurance back then. And I even know there was times like before your dad was in the military, like I think there were times we didn't have
to,
insurance. And so there was no
yeah.
need to have a diagnosis for a child if there was no
Mhm.
way to help a child.
Help them, yeah.
But yeah, no,
But okay,
I think you've composed your passion a lot.
thanks.
I
I'm
mean, you still scare, I mean,
I will
still
say
the
our
other,
one meetings, I get to not compose my passion as much, but I also one of the staff members were like, I'm glad to know this is a safe space to get everything off of our chest and then go lead in a better manner.
well, and
And
the
I
weird part,
liked it.
I will say working with both my daughters now, that is the dynamic I'm having the hardest time with because the two of you are nuts. And I know that is not a PC probably way, but like sisters, I don't have a sister. That, thank God, because sisters in that whole relationship I do not understand. But you will say crap to Taylor and I'm like, "Oh my God." And Taylor does not even phase her. Like your
No,
tone does not phase her.
no.
I mean, there's a couple times when she's been like, "Yeah, I'm not calling Britt," because it's also Taylor. Taylor will just be like, "I'm not talking to her today because
Like I
she's."
know what type of response I need, and I know my sister cannot give it to me at this moment in time.
But the two of you
Or
together,
she'll
that
call me And she'll be like, it's not me who wants to talk to you. It's one of your nieces.
Please don't talk to me. But working with the both of you is probably way more of a challenge than just working with the one of you. I will say that because I do feel, even though you two don't put me in the middle, I feel like I'm always in the middle, or I always feel like I need to like.
Well, you also have a very different relationship, I think, with both of us. Like,
Oh
they're not,
yeah.
it's not, yeah.
And the stuff I can say to Taylor, if I said that to you, speaking of composing your passion, you would be off the rails. And Taylor doesn't listen to me. She just is like, whatever.
Taylor has planned ignored her whole life. She is so good at it.
She's so good at it. She does a great job.
Okay, let's wrap it up for our pit and peak for this week. I think both of our pits I can say is that we didn't get to travel.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this trip. One, it was going to be going back to Iowa, and I haven't seen the center
Since I
like
moved it for the
with
465th time.
Well, I haven't seen them with client. Like I haven't been able.
Did you know Taylor didn't even put the donuts on the company card, the pizza and the donuts? She's just paid for them herself.
Yeah, she's not. She'll
like,
be
no,
asking you or I for reimbursement. I want to see that center because those women love working together, and I just
work there.
I need to see that.
Taylor and Jackie are so good at morale building too.
Like
the weird things they've done, like make everyone their own meme.
Yeah. Well, and those are another two that are like sisters that those two, getting in between those two is a whole nother thing.
I tried once and it about all of us.
That was not good. We realized where we need to be in the Ike and Ivy. We're merely figureheads.
I'm gonna let them just handle their. That's it. Taylor needs to be like, I need a vent as a sister. I don't need you to handle it for me. That's what she needs to tell me.
Which you need to remember, we used to do that all the time.
Yes, we used to call. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I agree.
So I think, yeah, my peak. I don't know.
My peak is when I finally got to go to Cash's first baseball game or baseball practice.
Oh, good.
Which me and the coach are not going to get along. But I also, now that we're not traveling, I get to go to the popcorn party.
Yeah,
him,
and then
Dustin was going to get off to go do it. So that somebody was there, but
that'll be cool. I think my peak is that I do have the flexibility to go out and smell my horse's neck every day, which I don't think he appreciates as much as I do. But I do. I think it's
cooking method.
I mean, I would say it's becoming
your
spring,
horse
and
has made you. I can tell the difference in you since you've got your horse.
I love him. I love his big old head. It's humongous. He's huge.
Oh my god!
I can't even see over his back. Oh god, I could talk about my horse forever. I just love him.
Okay, well, we're gonna wrap that up. Anyway.
Well, that's good.
Let's go. Okay, if you want to follow us, you can follow us on Facebook at And Then She Said, and hopefully you can follow us at Instagram at And Then She Said Podcast, but we're having some
surprisingly,
we have a lot of followers, so we can't just redo it. So you can still follow us. We're working on our content, I promise.